Good morning. I want to invite you to just pause right here, right now with me. Just pause and take a breath in. Take a breath in with me. And then when you're full, just hold that breath in and hang out for a moment. Be aware of your body. Notice if you can feel your face, feel your hands, your fingers. Can you feel your feet and your toes and whatever you're sitting on? And now exhale as slowly as you can, like you're blowing through a little straw between your lips, really long, slow. Keep going like that and make it as long as you possibly can. Beautiful. I hope you did that with me. If you didn't, you can rewind and do it again. I think you'll find that just that simple moment of pausing, coming into awareness of breath and body, has a refreshing effect. One of the things it does is it starts to down-regulate your nervous system. So any of the stress, any of the fight or flight responses, any of the anxiety, any of the sense of being really caught up in thinking and disconnected from our embodiment, disconnected perhaps from our hearts, from our emotional intelligence, any of that starts to be shifted when you allow yourself to slow down and just pay attention. This is the real miracle, the real magic, if you will, of mindfulness. Mindfulness not as a particular way of feeling, but as a way of relating to all the different ways we feel. So what I mean by that is when we pause, when we create a little space, when we consciously decide to use attention and breath and tune in on what I call your one precious body, it creates an opportunity, it creates a little space. It actually gives us access to mindful awareness where we can then relate to our experience a little more effectively, a little less reactively, right? We can relate, we can respond instead of just reacting and being pushed and pulled in a million directions, which is normal for all human beings, right? We are all vulnerable to the realities of stress and suffering and trauma. And that's why compassion is so valuable, and that's why mindfulness is so valuable. That's why practicing being in your center, practicing effective somatic awareness tools really can make such a huge difference if we do it, right? And a lot of times what happens for all of us is that when the going gets particularly tough, when we're in difficult transitions, when we're experiencing extreme stress, when we've gone through some sense of loss or disappointment or trauma, the tendency can be to get so overwhelmed by a difficult experience that we lose touch with the resources, with the tools, with our center, with the capacity to be compassionate, with the capacity to say, this too I can include in my compassionate awareness. This too I can be curious about. This difficult thing too that makes me, say, question my definition of myself or my value in the world, or whether or not someone really loves me, or whether I'm going to be okay in the coming months and years, in whatever ways, right? Relationally, financially, emotionally, health-wise. When those things come up, this too I can meet. I can pause. I can use my breath. I can tap into my capacity for compassion and curiosity and courage. This is how we cultivate resilience over time. And I'm not saying that it's easy or that it means you'll never suffer again. But notice just the power, if you do it with me again, of slowing down, pausing. Take your time with the breath and really feel it. Hold the breath in for a moment. It's very easy to become aware of your face. Feel your face. You might close your eyes as you listen to me. Feel your hands and your fingers. Maybe notice where the air is resting against your skin. Feel your feet and your toes. Feel the places where you're touching the floor. A sense of being grounded in your body. And then very slowly, sorry if that was too long, very slowly exhaling as if blowing through a tiny straw. Make your exhale last as long as possible. And if you haven't closed your eyes yet, do close them now as you take that long, slow, deliberate exhale and feel the effect in your body. I love this passage from Mary Oliver. I've known her poetry for 20 years, but I just recently came across this poem. Sometimes there are hidden gems that we overlook or we don't see. And she starts by saying, "Oh, do you have time to pause in the middle of your very busy and important day? Do you have time for the goldfinches who have gathered in a field of thistles to have a singing contest, to see who can sing the loudest or the softest, the most tender or the most expressive of mirth?" I'm saying it from memory, so don't quote me if I get it wrong. Who could sing with the most joy, right? With the most volume, with the most tenderness, with the most subtlety. She says, "They do not do this for your sake or for mine, not for winning, but for the sheer joy and gratitude of being alive. It is a serious thing," they say, "to be alive on this fresh morning in the broken world. So pause and don't miss out on this rather ridiculous display." If you think about it, so much about our lives is a rather ridiculous display. The things we get caught up in, the dramas that are happening, what we're trying to accomplish. On one level, it's all very important, very heartfelt and crucial, and it matters. On another level, when you step back and you pause, you go, okay, this is all rather ridiculous, right? But she's talking about the goldfinches and their singing contest, and she says, don't miss out. Pause for a moment, observe this rather ridiculous display. And then she says it could mean something. It could mean everything. And now she references the German poet Rilke. I love when poets reference other poets. There's a camaraderie and a sense of respect and love for one another in terms of that sense of trying to penetrate the deeper meaning of things and put it into words in a way that otherwise wouldn't be possible, right? Through poetry. Poetry is a unique way of using words. So she says it could mean something. It could mean everything. It could mean what Rilke meant when he said, you must change your life. And we all come to moments like this, right? Life is an endless hallway of transitions. There are periods of time when things are stable and consistent and predictable. There are periods of time that are about accomplishment and abundance and connection and joy. And then there are periods of time where there's disorientation and there's loss and there's new possibilities and things are less predictable. And perhaps we find that life says to us, it's time to change. It's time to reevaluate. It's time to step forward in a new way. Perhaps it's time to pause and take a breath and reflect. And sometimes there's going into a deep process around those kinds of transitions, and that doesn't mean you're getting it wrong, right? It doesn't mean your spirituality has failed you or you have, not manifested correctly or you've moved backwards, you've regressed, right? When you get in touch again with the difficult feelings that are an inevitable part of life's transitions and of growth and of stepping outside of our comfort zone and being asked to examine, well, what have I not been aware of so far? That's actually really good, but it's not easy. So do you have time to pause in the midst of your very busy and important day? Take another long breath in and out with me. At the top of your inhale, hold it in, be aware of as much of your body as you can. Notice anything you can access right now that you are truly grateful for. And then let that slow, delicious exhale move through your lips as if you're blowing through a tiny straw. Enjoy how that feels. I'll see you soon.